Hello and welcome. The goal of this podcast is to get listeners connected with others in the sports industry because they say it's all about who you know, and now you know us. All right, here we go. Listeners and viewers, another episode of the Constant Sports Podcast. We got a special episode today as we are going through the Super Bowl 2025 special, as we like to call it. We have longtime co-host Mr. Salvatore Capritta joining us today. What's going on, Sal?
Good to be here as always. How you doing, Connor?
Doing good, doing good. And we're a few days away from the biggest sporting event of the year so
As
far.
always,
As always, like
down
you
down
say,
in New Orleans.
that is the Big Easy. That's what they call it still.
Yes,
Well,
they
Big
do
Easy.
call it the Big Easy.
We have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles for all those who live under a rock. But it's Kansas City versus Philly, Mahomes versus Hurts. You got the Super Bowl rematch from a few years ago. So Andy
hmm
Reid against his old team. A lot of good storylines to go throughout. A few storylines I guess we'll touch on. It's just straight off the bat. You have
Yeah.
the Mahomes dynasty and kind of the Hurts revenge tour as they lost to the Chiefs a
hmm
few years ago in the Super Bowl. And end of the game, ticky-tacky, one might say, pass interference on the defensive side of things.
hmm
Now, it's been talked about a lot in the media. Is Mahomes, is he already a top tier quarterback? What does he have to do to, if he wins his Super Bowl? So we'll kind of start it off. If Mahomes wins his Super Bowl, where is he all time?
Already an all-time quarterback. I'll just say it what it is. Regardless of winning this, it doesn't change where he is in my order. I
Yep.
think right now he's solidified as two. He
Two. Okay.
really is. Yep. Got three Super Bowls. Has he got one or two MVPs?
Yeah,
I feel
something.
like two. I could be overstating that. But with that being said, just what he's got going on in his career, his statistics, what he's done with the Chiefs organization, he's number two already for me.
Hmm. Agreed. Agreed
So
here.
this is just another stepping stone to getting him to chasing Brady. I mean, I do still think that's going to be a tall task. I know everyone
He's at
has
seven.
quickly. Brady's at seven. That's
Seven.
correct. Six with the Patriots, one with the Bucks. I mean, Brady had two Hall of Fame careers, 20 to 30, or excuse me, it was like 20 to 35,
Yep.
35 to 42. I mean, the
Right.
breakdown's insane. So, with that being said, I do think a three-peat would be a nice little thing to put in Mahomes' back pocket. I don't think it definitely does not get him above Tom Brady at the moment, but it's another cap in the feather as he chases that illustrious greatest quarterback of all time in his career.
Right. Well, and you're saying, Patrick Mahomes is still playing, obviously, and Tom
Oh,
Brady's
right.
done. So it's like we have
Yes.
a 20-year career to look at Tom Brady to be like,
Right.
he's definitely number one. Whereas Patrick Mahomes is whatever he's been, eight, nine, whatever it is, years in the league,
Right.
where he's got, he's going for a three-peat. And yeah, I don't think this hurts his case at all. Like if he wins it, great. If he doesn't,
Yeah.
I can't imagine this is going to be the last time this guy's been in a Super Bowl. So,
Totally agree. Right.
that's kind of what I'm thinking there. And as far as kind of who has the most to gain, I think it's obviously the Eagles as far as
Right.
being back in the Super Bowl. The kind of some of the same coaching staff. They went pretty all in. Obviously, you're getting Barkley
Right.
and some of the weapons they have on the outside. So I think Eagles lose. Philadelphia might fire the head coach. I mean, that city's not going to be happy.
Which is crazy to me. I saw some statistics on it, excuse me, about Nick Sirianni. He's like one of the most
Yeah.
winningest head coaches in his first 3 or 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Dudes, they're perennial championship team in the NFC. They've been to the NFC Championship very consistently the past 2, 3, 4 years. Obviously, in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I mean, this is a winning organization, and they just keep reloading. Talented defense with Vic Fangio, former
Yep.
Broncos head coach, leading the way there. They're not the biggest names. They've got names, but not like massive. But at the same time, they're a good kind of bend but don't break defense. And then offensively, they're just so dominant in the run game that you forget about all the weapons they have on the perimeter.
Right.
So
And I feel like they don't even use him as much.
correct. Absolutely. And that's why I really like this matchup and the fact that okay, if Kansas City wants to sell out for the run, we're gonna see these perimeter talent on the Eagle side with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard at the tight end position. They're gonna reappear and everyone's gonna remember, oh yeah, they are really good
Oh yeah.
receivers, really good tight ends.
Yeah, no doubt. And the just kind of goes to show, I guess, the versatility of the team that they've
R-
built. I mean,
Right.
they can do a little bit of both, and really, they haven't even had to use their passing game. They just use their running game. So that'd be, that's one kind of key point to keep an eye for. If the Chiefs can make, I think that's their obviously the Eagles' path of victory. Just turn around, give it to 2-6,
Well,
let them run
yeah.
wild.
Yeah, and I'd love to ask your thoughts on this because I think it's a big talking point within the media and everything leading up to this game is where's your faith in Jalen Hurts right now? Because if you're Kansas City, see, but that's the thing. If you're Kansas City, it's you got to stop this. I mean,
Right.
Saquon Barkley's on an all-time run
Hmm.
in the playoffs. You cannot let him beat you.
Hmm.
So it's like Jalen Hurts is going to have an opportunity to throw the football. Do we trust he can carve up Kansas City's defense?
See, the problem is, it's like usually you're like that team's offense is playing the opposing defense, but in the Chiefs' case, you're playing the defense and then you're playing Patrick Mahomes. Like you can't, like
Right.
it doesn't matter how many points you score, like
Uh-huh.
you still got 15 on the other side. Like 13 seconds left in the game, doesn't matter. Like it has to be 4 zeros on the clock, and that's the only way you're feeling comfortable. I saw a
Mm.
stat that said every quarterback in the playoffs, I think it was the past 3 times, has been that has led in the fourth quarter against Patrick Mahomes has lost.
I did see a stat on Mahomes. He's got like an insane record being trailing by more than 7 points in a game.
Yeah,
Like
he probably
he's
I
got,
think he likes it.
oh yeah, like
Mhm.
that don't phase him at all. Like
Mhm.
they're coming back, just like the Eagles. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they had like a 10 point, 12 point lead in
Yeah,
that
something
Super
like
Bowl
that,
two
double
years
digit.
ago,
Yep,
and people are like, let's calm it down.
yep, yep.
Like, so
No,
no,
it gets crazy. I mean, yeah, he's something else. And kind of speaking on the craziness and the business side of it, we'll dive into a little bit.
hmm
But the something to note, obviously, it's the biggest business sporting event, obviously, of the year.
right.
And some viewership numbers. So the 2024 NFL average TV viewership, the
hmm
Kansas City Chiefs came in third with 22 million viewers, average
hmm
national TV viewers. Philadelphia Eagles came in 10th with 18.8. So
Huh.
if you're the NFL, you know that's good numbers there.
Right.
You got your good teams. They're in the top 10 in viewership. Obviously, yeah, it's usually how it's going to work. The better teams have more viewers, but
Right.
other than the New York team, like you have what is the New York Giants. I mean, they're six right now, and they're
What?
not very good. Bears are
Right.
up there. I mean, it's
Cowboys. We're the Cowboys.
Cowboys are number two, so it goes
I
top
mean,
five. It
can
goes
you
Detroit
believe that?
Lions, Cowboys, Chiefs, Packers, Ravens.
Oh my gosh. Funny how it works.
It
No,
really is.
they were saying on this one that they don't expect it to be the viewership it was last year
Right.
just because of how the 49ers, good iconic brand, obviously
Hmm.
with the Kansas City Chiefs, then the fact just how good that game was. I
Yep.
mean, we got to step back and we were pretty spoiled last year
No doubt.
with that Super Bowl. So we'll see what this one turns up. I do expect good numbers just because it is Kansas City going for a three-peat. We're on a historic run here, potentially, as no team has ever done the three-peat. So, do expect good ratings for Fox, but not necessarily what we got last year.
Right. Well, and speaking on the ratings, like you're saying, the going market for commercials and ads is a little bit over the $8 million
Woo!
mark
Can you believe
for the
that?
Super Bowl,
Oh
which
my.
which is
Woo!
just crazy. So I don't know if you have any brands off the top of your head, but what brands do you think are going to make the biggest splash referring to the commercials this year?
Right. I'll be curious. It's always evolving, and what I mean by that is there's a brand out of left field that you don't see. It's like,
Yep.
ooh, you recognize them and they have this good commercial, but then because it's such a high priced ad, I think not every company's consistently doing it every year. Now you've got your staples and that'll continue to do
You
it
got your
and they're always
Budweisers and the Clydesdale. They're always going to be in there.
correct, your iconic brands, but for the most part, yeah, it's kind of out of left field of who's going to have the good ad just because it is such a high dollar one. I am curious to see what Bud Light does.
Yep.
They've already teased a little with what was it, Post Malone,
Post
Peyton
Malone.
Manning,
Yep.
Shane Gillis, so they could have a good one, but be alert for an under the radar brand coming out here. I know, what was it, Temu? Yeah, you remember that
Yep.
the
Yep. Yep. Yep.
that
Or the
app? They were
orange
pretty
thing or
big.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty impressive how they had so many ads last year. So curious to see what the market looks like this year.
Yep, no doubt. And just touching on that, I feel like there's the staples, but then there's you like you're saying, usually one company. That crypto kind of made a big, was it last year or the year before? Made just a massive push. I mean,
Yes,
it
I
was like
feel
every other
feel like it was
commercial.
2 years ago, but
Yeah,
yeah, crypto had a big run in the Super Bowl. So,
no doubt. And
yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, if you had, let's say you were a company, you had $7 million for a 30-second ad. What's you getting celebrities involved, or what's kind of what's the game plan?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I have no idea. That's way over my head. Just the thought of you get 30 seconds, you got to pay 7 million, and then that doesn't even include the production of that 30-second ad.
Right. Well, and that's
But
that's the point I was trying to kind of hit on is say you're the company, you have to write the check for the $8 million, and then you still had like the Dunkin' Donuts from last year I was just watching. You
right.
had all those Boston guys in it. I mean, they're not doing that for free. You got to
Yeah.
pay those guys. You got a set. You got a crew. A year in maybe the $10 million range just for a
Oh
30
yeah.
second ad.
No, I that's what I mean. Like we're talking people's marketing budgets for a whole year being
Yeah,
spent 30 seconds at the Super Bowl.
yeah, it's madness.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and we're speaking of madness, as we touched on before, the
Hmm.
Super Bowl obviously is in New Orleans this year,
Yep.
and really NFL's. I think they're doing a pretty good job at kind of creating these events, right? You have the
Yes.
draft spectacular, as they call, where they're going to different cities, going to Detroit, going to
Right.
Green Bay next year or a
T-
few years.
that
They're
sounds
doing
right. I
something like
thought,
that.
isn't Green Bay this year, then Pittsburgh? I
Okay,
think
that
we
sounds right.
are. Yep. So we're in Green Bay this year at Lambeau Field, obviously, and then we've got Pittsburgh the following year.
So yeah, so they're, I mean, the NFL is a marketing machine.
Yes.
So, I mean, being in New Orleans, shout out SBJ. I was listening to this morning on the Buzzcast,
Yeah.
but they were saying
Very
it's
nice.
it's a little bit of a smaller hub for a Super Bowl. It's not as big of a city, which I thought was interesting.
Right. When you think about it, it's true,
Hmm.
but it's New Orleans has been in the rotation now, but when you think about, God, was the last Super Bowl in New Orleans?
I think he said it 11 years ago or something, didn't he? I
So was
thought
that Ravens 49ers when we had
when the lights went
the
out.
lights issue?
That sounds about yeah, sounds about right.
No. Oh my gosh. That's too long. That's too long for New Orleans. Honestly.
It's well, and it kind of goes to show that like when it's in Caesars, obviously, and
Right.
nowadays with these new stadiums coming up, it's kind of like okay, we
Hmm.
get first dibs like the SoFi, and then how it happened
Yes.
a few years ago, and Minneapolis obviously gets a Super Bowl, and
Hmm.
circling back on that, the Buffalo Bills. I know we've chatted about this before, but they're going forward with the new stadium, no roof
No
for
roof.
Super
So
Bowl.
and to your point, what you're making here is I don't because they've got no roof, don't expect them to be getting a Super Bowl.
You
Because
can.
I'm trying to think. The last Super Bowl I remember in cold weather around this time was the Super Bowl at MetLife.
Oh, right, right. Broncos,
Right.
Seahawks.
Broncos Seahawks, one of the worst
A little
days of
lopsided.
my
A
life.
little
Yes.
lopsided.
But you got to think about, I mean, Peyton Manning, neck, cold.
That's
Like, what are
true.
we doing? What are we doing? We get back in Miami, warm weather, that neck loosens up. The defense doesn't play a big factor. It's a whole different ball game.
I see what you're saying here. It's
Right.
it's something to think about. This is a great viewpoint there from a Broncos fan, but
Right.
I'm just shocked that they're not putting some sort of retractable dome on that stadium
In
because
Buffalo.
yeah, oh yeah,
It's
seems like a
part.
no-brainer. Like I get their theory, like hey, we're tough,
This is, yes. Yeah.
but are you? I mean,
How about are you?
clearly it's
Yeah.
not necessarily working in
It's
your favor.
it's not working. Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty nuts to think
Oh,
about.
you want Bill's Mafia is gonna be on you.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm just say the Chiefs are still the
Mhm.
Chiefs, so you're gonna have to play them in cold weather regardless.
Right. Right.
Um, well, we got we got some good
Mhm.
topics here. We got if oh that's right. I got a good one for the Hurts kind of Mahomes. Go back to that the game.
Yes.
If we talked about if Hurts wins, is he the new face of the league? Do we have a new? You still think it's Mahomes?
No, that's a great topic to bring up because again, within the conversation with the media and everything, hurts faith in him, da 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 da. The truth is, and I agree with this narrative, and it's the cold hard truth, it sucks, but like even if Jalen Hurts wins this, like he's not gonna be in the top tier quarterbacks. The Mahomes, the Brady, or excuse me, the
Are you
Burrow,
going now? Okay, you're
the
going now.
yeah, sorry, Burrow, Lamar, and
Well, you could throw Allen in there.
Allen. That's what I was going for. Those top tier quarterbacks. I mean, these are generational talents. Like, I just don't see it, and I think the media agrees. Hurts being in that category.
Yep.
He's got the intangibles. He's a solid quarterback. He's perfect for what the Eagles need right now. But when you're talking pure skill, talent, carrying a team with your arm, not him. And he's not going to be in that tier.
Yep. I mean, yeah, it's like we've been chatting about. He's going to have to beat him with his arm, I think, unless they just
Right.
run absolutely wild and the Chiefs can't stop him, which is a possibility that I think is kind of going a little bit under the radar. Like everyone's just saying the Eagles need to run the ball, but like
Hmm.
if they actually successfully run the ball, that's a good way to beat Mahomes. I
It's a
mean,
great
you
way.
just chew up that clock, ball control. He can't play defense, so you get. I mean,
Right.
and
You've
I did read the
mhm.
record for rushing yards in the Super Bowl, 204.
By
Oh, that's a good question.
ooh,
I just looked it up a few
let's
minutes ago.
let's
Let's see.
see. Super Bowl. I got pulled up. But no, I the point you're making is absolutely valid, and they've got a ball
Timmy
control.
Smith, Washington,
Mm, mm.
1988.
1988. That's a good one. Um, they've got to run the ball, keep control of the ball, and then with the Vic Fangio defense, bend but don't break. They're not going to allow the deep shot, Mahomes throwing it deep, Xavier Irving, etc. It's going to be dink and dunk, make them kick field goals. That's
Yep.
the way. That's the blueprint, and ideally how the Eagles want to win the game.
Mhm.
But Kansas City most likely are going to come, stop the run, make Hurts beat them, and inevitably, shockingly, I think it may be a shootout, kind of just like it was 2 years ago.
Okay.
We may have a slow first half. It may be 14-10. It may
Yep.
be 13-10.
10-7. Yeah,
But
something low.
yeah, 10-7. But second half, we may get up into the 30s,
Yeah.
mid 20s, mid
Well,
30s.
and we have Kansas City Chiefs 17-2, Eagles 17-3. Two higher powered offenses and strong defenses,
Right.
but the Super Bowl nerves I suck still play a big factor. I mean, these Super Bowls I feel like pretty often start out pretty slow. We're kind of sledging along. Nothing, nothing. First quarter is usually pretty drag, pretty much
Hmm.
pretty drag. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of who, someone gets a big hit and then okay, everyone can okay, let's get it going.
Yes, and what I'm excited about this is I think there's always Super Bowl nerves, but
Mhm.
when you've got the Chiefs, we're going three in a row. I mean, you're numb to it at this point.
You
And
would
the
think.
Eagles being there 2 years ago, like I think it's going to be a quicker jump than what
Okay.
we've seen in past Super Bowls. I mean, they've already experienced it. They know what it's like. Once
True, true.
you feel it and been on that stage, it gets a little more comfortable.
Yep, no doubt. Well, and you have the Chiefs um, favored by 1.5. You got the over under at 48 and a half. You got the Eagles at plus 100 odds, Chiefs at 120 there. So, I mean, those are
I
all
like the over.
pretty. You
I
like the over
like the
48 and a
over.
half?
Yeah, I really like the over.
Okay. Well, I mean, since we're here,
Yeah,
we'll just get into our
let's do
pre
it.
our game day predictions.
Oh,
We'll go final score, we'll go MVP, and then we'll do who's the biggest
okay.
surprise performer. So I'll
Okay.
kick it off.
Hmm.
I'll go final score. Final score, I'll go Chiefs 28, Eagles 24.
Ooh,
And I mean, Patrick Mahomes is gonna have to be obviously the MVP if I'm going
right.
2024. He's gonna be throwing 2 or 3 touchdown passes. So yeah, I'm going 28-24 Chiefs.
28, 24. Okay. I'm going 31-28, matching you on the Chiefs scoring 28. I got the
Okay.
Eagles
You got the
winning
Eagles.
by 3 points. Yep. Walk-off field goal. I've got Saquon Barkley as the MVP.
Okay, I mean that's a great pick. I mean, as we
Yeah.
did this a few years ago in grad school, and I believe you did come the closest was that Professor Yao's class who did the Super Bowl? Something like
Sounds
that.
about right.
Is the
We did
Rams,
pretty.
but oh, and then who's the biggest surprise
Oh, that's
performer?
right. Yep.
I think Juju Smith-Schuster comes in. I think
Oh.
he goes about 85 yards receiving, maybe grabs a touchdown.
Okay, I do like that. I think that's a good under the radar player. For me, ooh, I'm leaning towards I think the easy pick for me would be based on my predictions, be like Jalen
Oh,
Carter.
okay, yeah, defense
But
tackle.
I'm gonna go Nolan Smith, edge rusher,
Okay,
another Georgia guy. I think he's gonna get 2.5 sacks, bunch of tackles for loss, be a menace on the edge. for the Eagles.
I
But
like it.
also, don't I wouldn't really call him a surprise player just because he's played so well in this postseason. But
Hmm.
Zach Bond, the linebacker for the Eagles, Sean
You're
Payton
you're on
drafted him
the you're
in.
on the you're feeling the defensive side of things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because here's the deal: like offensively, if Saquon Barkley is the MVP, like it's gonna be all through him.
Yep.
And I mean, I could go Jahan Dotson, a former Nittany Lion as well.
Okay. Low receiver.
Eagles third string receiver, but
Yep.
I
Yep.
want to get on the defensive side. I think they make the play that gets the Eagles in position to kick that field goal, and I believe it's a strip sack by Nolan Smith.
You heard it here first. And then
Oh, there it
one
is.
other kind of segment I think is would be interesting to do. So we're going Super Bowl single game player records. So you got
Okay.
touchdowns, you got completed passes, passing yards.
Like a little bold prediction here.
Yep, you have touchdown passes, interceptions thrown, right? Catches. So I'm looking at this right now. So catches, I mean, it's going to be a tough one to
What
guess,
is
but
it?
the number is 14. But what I want you to try to guess is who was that?
Can I get a year?
That was 2017 Falcons and
Oh, that would be Julio
Patriots.
Jones. Yeah.
You would think. That's what I thought.
No.
Mr. James White, running back.
Oh, that's right. You know, he had, I believe, was it? No. That was a pitch that he had for the 2-point conversion. 14. He had 14 catches.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. It was pretty crazy.
How that's one of when you talk about I don't know if we'll ever see a Super Bowl like that. I
No.
could quick little story time on that, and I won't say his name, and he probably don't remember, but we in high school watching the game with all my buddies, big Patriots fan. First half happens. I mean, he's freaking out. He
Oh yeah.
storms out, leaves, can't be around his friends because he's so upset. Soon enough, little did he know they were about to make the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history.
Mm,
I'll tell you what, that's pretty impressive for James White.
it really is. Well, and so yeah, that's one if I'm just picking like one of those to be broken, it's touchdowns scored is only three, which
By
seems
a player.
by one player. Seems pretty low. Um, that one seems pretty low. You have, I mean, out of these others, like tackles, 18, sacks, three, rushing touchdowns, three, interceptions thrown, five, touchdown passes thrown, six. So I feel like touchdowns scored's relatively low.
I was
And
gonna say sacks or the
Jalen
touchdown
Hurts
scored.
is tied for first with three touchdowns,
Thrown or rushed?
both just touchdowns total.
Oh, total touchdowns.
Yeah,
Hmm. Interesting.
very. And then, so a few things to keep in mind for all you people that like to, you know,
Do some
feel,
prop bets.
feel generous on the prop bets,
Yeah.
things to keep
Yeah.
in mind. And shout out, I was looking at some Super Bowl game records as well. Unfortunately, your Broncos are biggest margin of defeat,
Was
1990,
it
49ers, Broncos.
49ers? Yeah. Yeah. That's
But
tough.
you guys
I
do
mean,
have
we're
the
in the
most
top
sacks in the
two.
game.
Oh, we do.
Yep,
What
12
year was
sacks.
that?
That was Panthers, Broncos 2016.
We got 12 sacks that Super Bowl.
That's a good amount. That's
That is a
nearly every
good
time
amount.
Cam Newton dropped back to pass.
Yeah, that'll you can't win a football game when you get sacked 12 times.
No, you cannot. The
Oh man, that's funny.
no, so that's yep, we got our final predictions there. We got okay, before we go, we'll
I was
do oh go
I got
ahead.
one. I got
Okay,
one for
hit me.
you. Is it a touchback or is it returned?
Touchback, 100%.
Ooh. Why is that?
I just think special teams, big games, they're not risking that.
There's a little more juice. Well,
They're
there's
putting that thing through the back of the end zone.
right, right. There's two sides on it. Obviously, repeating what McAfee said a couple years ago. There's the juice of the kicker. This has
Yep.
got leg. He's a little more excited.
Hmm.
However, new ball for the Super Bowl. That's a
True.
hard football. That's
Right.
tough to kick that football. It's not worn in like the other ones.
Good
I
point.
always like returned. I really do.
I mean,
Especially in Super Bowl. Every other game, touchback. But the Super Bowl, I really think I always like return.
the problem is that Devin Hester taking it back to the crib.
Right.
They're not risking that. I
Right.
do enjoy a return
No.
though, but yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting. And then it's kind of like, the Gatorade, what color Gatorade? I feel like that's just a toss up. I
That's it.
mean,
I don't mess with that.
no,
That kind of stuff is a little toss up for me.
that's crazy work. That
Yeah.
if you're looking at the blue or green or purple Gatorade, You're in your own stratosphere. But is
Right.
Super Bowl halftime show, that'll be interesting.
Who we
You
got
gotta
there?
it's Kendrick
Kendrick
Lamar, I
Lamar.
believe.
Oh yeah, he's on a run this year.
He
Yeah.
there's no question about that. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll tear that up. I'm sure there'll be no shout outs directed to a specific person.
Oh boy. No pun intended.
No, no, no. The I will say Rihanna Super Bowl when she was levitating on those stages. You remember that a few years ago?
Pregnant, correct.
Arizona. Yeah.
We
That's
did not know, and then it was like a reveal type thing.
that's definitely up there. I mean, those people were on platforms 100 feet,
I
200 feet in
s-
the air.
I know. I still don't. That's pretty wild to me. That's we signed off the waiver on that one. Pregnant lady, levitating, very high up in the air. Wow.
Very high. Yeah, that was
It was
something.
a good
So,
performance. What a voice.
indeed.
What a
Yeah, it was.
voice.
Yeah, it crushed it. And as we've talked about, the Super Bowl performers actually don't get paid for that, but they do see
No.
it in the back end with a substantial amount of listeners going, "Oh yeah, that person's good at singing." Bam,
Yeah.
downloads and yada yada yada. So,
And I'm fine with that because people also, you know how much it is for the production of it?
oh yeah,
It's not the artist doesn't pay for the 5, 10, 15, 20. Who
plus,
knows at
right?
this point for the put on this kind of show. All they got to do is show up and perform. And like you said, they've got over 30, 50, 100 million people going to their Apple or Spotify and playing their music.
Hmm.
Come on now.
Yeah. So, like I said, the
Yeah,
NFL doesn't miss. They've
never does.
they've worked that out well. So. I think we covered all our bases today on the Super Bowl special, as we like to call it. So feel free to comment your scores and predictions for all you football fans out there. Drop that down there and tell us who's winning. And Sal, it's been a pleasure and an honor to be here again. So, any final words as we take off here?
Nothing off the top. Looking forward to an exciting Super Bowl Sunday. Unfortunately, the end of another great year. We go
Yep,
into the dark season as we wait for next September, but
it's true.
excited to kick it off with one last game. All
Yep,
I
yep.
ask for at this point, with the Broncos not in it, all I ask for is a good game. The blowouts are the ones you can't take. The good games you can live on with.
Yep, yep. Agreed, agreed. Well said. And thanks again to all the listeners and viewers, and we'll catch you guys next week.